Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Sid Hingarani on the line. He's managing director over at Jade Advisors, and this episode is part of our Super Return International Berlin series, where we bring you the best of those that attend and participated in Super Return over in Berlin. Sid, welcome to the show.
Adam, thanks for having me.
All right, we got a lot to talk about today. So, of course, I want to get into what you're doing over at Jade Advisors and really how you got into this business, a little bit about your background as well. But before we do, Super Return Berlin, give me some of the backstory. I know you were there. Have you attended Super Return or been community for a while? Was this the first time? Give me some of the backstory, please.
Yeah, of course. So Super Return Berlin is one of the larger private equity conferences globally. This was my second time attending it. The first one was 2024. And it attracts over 7,500 people, both from the GP standpoint and LP position. So it's pretty extensive. They take up the entire hotel for a week. The conference centers inside, they've got spaces outside. So it is definitely expanded in the last couple of years from what I've seen and what I've heard. It's a very good place to get insight into what the industry and what the people are doing there.
What keeps you coming back? I'm curious. A lot of things you could be doing, obviously, with your experience and otherwise. Like, why is this one on the schedule? Sounds like every year.
Short answer, business opportunity, right? We've, as Jade Advisors, probably a good cue for me to give you a background. We're a placement firm. What that means is we're helping GPs attract international investors to raise capital for their funds. Most of the clients that we serve are the GPs that are fundraising now. And conferences like the Super Return, which is one of the larger ones, as I said, it attracts significantly high number of GPs who are looking for international funding.
Yeah.
So our purpose, it's a small 7-member team. Our purpose of going to these kind of conferences is to get A, new business, and B, understand what's going on from a GP perspective in the industry.
I want to go a step. This is a good transition. Let's go a step further for Jade Advisors. You mentioned it's a 7-person team and you're going to these conferences, you're matchmaking, obviously, for raising capital. How'd you get into this business? Like, how'd that start for you, like in starting that?
My background is mostly been in consulting, strategy consulting at PwC, EY, got into banking at JP Morgan and Wells Fargo. But I actually met the founder of Jade while I was doing my MBA, and he roped me in as
I
like an
love that
internship.
term. I love that term, Sid. He wrote me in. They got you. Go ahead, please.
Because it started out as an internship, right? It was engaging enough because I had no idea about the market. I did not understand what a GP meant, what an LP meant. 5 years later, I'm still supporting him in various capacities, whether it's business building through attracting GP clients or
Yeah.
expanding our partnerships with other placement agents. And through these 5 years, I've learned a lot about the alternative asset industry. And now, when I attend these conferences, I have more to contribute towards conversations that I have than what I did maybe 3 years ago.
That's awesome. So I'm curious about the conversations. Like, what stood out most for this particular event for Super Return Berlin? Like, what was the event like? What were the conversations like?
Yeah, so the event is actually, I sort of mentioned this earlier. So the event is structured that they have panel interviews across the board, across all, and you had networking opportunities outside those panel sessions. I had a packed calendar, so I wasn't able to attend many of the panel sessions, but the common conversations that I had with most of these fund managers were threefold. Number one, that fundraising is a generally tough environment right now. Number two is how do these fund managers adopt AI in a very systematic, very careful, very oriented manner? And number three was that since exits are slowing down, it becomes paramount that managers look at operational improvement and value creation beyond the multiple expansion section. I'll quantify all of this, right? Fundraising generally is difficult. Investors are taking more time to invest in funds, and
Yeah.
they just need managers to develop relationships first before they decide to commit. And it's significantly changed the last 4 or 5 years. Like the average time, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, to raise a fund was anything between 15 to 18 months, or 12 to 15 rather.
Yeah.
Now, in 2025 and 2026 onwards, it's easily more than 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's a more of an LP factor of deciding now that they have more options. if they want to invest or not. Second bit was the AI bit that I was talking about. Like it's all over the place, right? So every group wants to incorporate AI into their operational structure, into their portfolio companies. They're just wary of how much they can leverage these capabilities versus just doing a blanket, getting your cloud, getting your different projects onto AI. So that was another piece where more people are spending their conversation. And the third aspect I talked about is value creation, right? Given that fundraising is difficult, given that exits are not happening as much as they did a couple of years ago, there are less IPOs, there are less liquid events, which means that managers have to focus on how they enhance their portfolio companies' operations to generate that alpha, to generate value for them to be able to sell maybe a year later, 2 years later, and generate a bigger return on their portfolio. So those have been the common themes that I've been hearing through the various conversations I had.
Yeah. And I guess circling back to Jade Advisors briefly before I ask my next question, what type of funds or managers are you working with? What's typically is there a size? Is there an industry? Just in general?
Yeah, so we're across the board. We've serviced traditional private equity, we've done private debt, done ventures, real estate, infrastructure. So essentially all across the alternative asset space. The only piece we touch less is hedge funds. And given our model, which is like a placement agent partnership model, where we've partnered with 30 plus independent groups, we're able to service as something as small as a first time venture fund for 20 million, and on the other end of the spectrum have worked on a $2.5 billion fund number 9. So that's a huge spectrum. So we
Yeah.
play in this entire market. So our sort of tagline or our lot of approach is that we have global coverage through localized placement teams and region specific investors.
So I've heard this in the past, and please, if I'm off, then correct me. I'd love to hear your perspective on this. But given some of the things that you mentioned about the longer it's taking to raise a fund, and also people thinking about how you can, and this is what I've heard more, is with that value add is becoming even more important. Like in the past, maybe in different markets, it was just like, what was your track record? What have you done? And that was okay. That was a green light, so to speak, at times. Now that may not be enough given how fast things are moving with AI and otherwise. Are you seeing that, or am I off on some of that?
You're hitting the right points. I'd slightly rephrase that. You're right in saying that earlier there was focus on track record, which still is, by the way.
Still
Like,
there, yeah.
yeah. Now the conversation is more about how you're able to build relationship with LPs in a much deeper manner. I'll give you an example, right? Like
Please.
a few years ago, everybody wanted to go to the Middle East to raise capital. That's still the case. But now investors or sovereign wealths and sitting in the UAE, sitting in Saudi, they have a dearth of opportunities that they can invest in. So they want to see commitment from an asset manager who can come meet them frequently, talk about their track record, build that relationship, show them what they're doing on the pitch deck is actually something that they've implemented across their portfolio companies and it's not just a slide. And that's how these investors now get comfortable to then decide whether would they want to allocate to a particular fund now or wait for another 12, 15 months to see how things progress. So it is track record plus relationship.
Yeah. Can you lean a little bit further into your thought process around the relationship side? Because I feel like at times, I'm not going to say for everybody, but depending on what school you grew up in of finance, we can be left brain, right? Like all numbers, all data, all this. I don't have time to do this or to have that lunch or to whatever the thing is that someone uses to build relationships, to build that connection. Can you lean a little bit further into that and just what you feel like building a relationship can look like in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one thing I'd like to point out is you're right in saying that no, it's a finance-oriented, data-oriented world, but this industry is not a capital industry. I double down on the fact that I think this is a relationship industry. And what that means is, let's say I'm a fund manager and I know I want to start a new fund 3 years from now.
Yeah.
I should not wait on reaching out to LPs, getting soft introductions, getting warm introductions to investors now, so that by the next 3 years, I can show them, hey, this is what my plan for the next 3 years was. This is how we're approaching it. This is what we've done. It's not a proposition for you to invest in us now, but something to think about. The other options are a lot of fund managers are now doing it. There's been evidence that super return also that the post event after 5 p.m., 6 p.m., a lot of managers were hosting dinners with not much of an agenda other than an update on how they've been progressing and
Hmm.
inviting a lot of investors to come in. It's a good way to have a focus session with 10, 12, 15 members in a conference that attracts 7,000 plus people. So that's the
Yeah.
kind of things that differentiate a strong asset manager versus somebody who just realizes, oh, I have 6 months left to go. Let me go to the Middle East because these guys have money. Let me look Southeast Asia because that's not a market that's explored further, so they would be interested in my fund.
Sid, this has been a lot of fun having you on today, learning more about what you're doing. I love the fact that you double down on the relationship side. I don't hear that all the time, but to me, I see that from my end. But I'm not doing the day-to-day analysis. I'm on the media side of things, so I see it, the relationships and how my relationships through this industry and my team have built through the years. And I'm like, it's the same. It's different product, different things. But I'm like, I double down on that. I love that you went that in that direction. So, last thing I'll ask you, Sid, if somebody wants to follow up, if they want to learn more about Jade Advisors or follow your work and your team, how do they do that?
Oh, great. We're pretty active on LinkedIn. It's Jade Advisors, JadeAdvisors, or our website, that's jadeadv.com. And shoot us a message, and one of us will get back to you, and let's see if there are avenues for us to work together.
Wonderful. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll definitely put some links in the show notes so that you can just click on the links and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me correct. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way on your journey as well. So hit that subscribe or follow button. And Sid, thanks again for coming on. Appreciate you.
Thanks again, Adam. Good luck.